welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AWOL, and check out this crazy Kumi that my wife did. Unfortunately, she didn't snap a photo of how she started it, but I can kind of describe it. This is with the 18 strings. She put, there's like 6 places on the dial where there are strings. It's like two of the bright, and then two of the other bright, and then across is two and two. And on the top were the blacks divided in half with on the bottom were the rest of the black ones. So if you count out how many strings are in this thing, you can kind of work that out. So that's how she did it. Turned, I, it was my fault. I failed to mention that I wanted her to try to go with what we did with the last 18 string thing. And she saw this as an opportunity to do something completely crazy. And she ran with that instead. Um, so yeah, it came out pretty neat. You might even want to go back and take a look at that. It's really bizarre. And it looks really super cool on this bracelet. So that's something. Um, Check it out. We have bright colors. We have the neon string. So I was kind of leaning on this when we were designing up the pattern that would be kind of a cool thing for this. And so yeah, I totally went with that. And of course the black just gives it as much contrast as possible. So that's sort of cool there as well. This bracelet took a little while. This is at least a couple hours, all sped up. So we are going at the slightly faster speed. I think it's like 5 times speed, versus the normal is 4 times speed. What does that do for stuff overall? I have no idea. Um, that involves math or something, and I don't know. So yeah. Um, this has a lot of cool segmenting bits to it, right? So as you can see, like right out the gate, I looked and saw that the yellow is going to come across everything, and the black are going to come across everything. So as long as I work out everything to the left, I can bring those long, long rows all the way straight across. And that's pretty much the theme for the whole bracelet itself. Um, the other big thing is, and I mentioned this in the making part, is if you watch the black, I just went straight across with it. In fact, every time I came to anything, I just went with it in the direction it's going, and never once made the blacks do any kind of a like a zigzag or anything in it. The other colors obviously had to. I have to, like this yellow will get to the end and it'll bounce back. But all of the black colors in this, they all just continue just with either a left knot or a right knot. That's it. Um, and as a result, we didn't run out of any strings. So that was pretty awesome. So yeah, that's, um, I don't know. Hopefully that helps you. Hopefully you're going to be like, oh, and you totally get it and it helps. So yeah. Um, What else? Um, yeah, overall, it wasn't okay. So it's not a beginner bracelet, but it's not a difficult bracelet. It's really nice and easy, and I enjoyed it. That was cool. So hopefully I see some other variations. You guys doing some of these? I don't know. Maybe you do it with single strands so you can fit more of the, what do you call that? When, like, segments, I guess? Like more of the way that the colors do their individual things. I don't know. I guess it's a segment. I wish I had better words. But anyways, yeah. So this is, I really should have sped it up further, considering I really can't think of anything to talk about. Like my brain is just completely uh today. Mind you, it's kind of early in the day. I finished the bracelet kind of late last night, so I didn't have a chance to record this. So I'm still drinking coffee and still trying to wake myself up. Um, yeah, you can see I totally get into a routine of where I do the center diamond, I do the stuff to the left of it, I bring the long rows across, then I finish the stuff on the right, and that's it. Just keeps repeating. Like that's sort of um, yeah. I kind of at some point I kind of realized like the little bit of black on that one diamond there, like I stopped doing that part of it because it's part of the longer row, and so like I get a little bit smarter and do it a little bit better. But it's still like yeah, and because there's it really like there's you've got like the yellow orange then the purple and then you're into the pink diamond that's in the center, so in some ways I mean it took a couple hours but it felt like it was super quick because um it was just oh I just have to do this little area. Might be a big kind of ish area, but it kind of those get out of the way. There's 20 minutes later and you're like cool, that's all done, and then you get into the next one and then that's another 20 minutes gone. And but it feels quick because you're constantly seeing this feeling of progress, which I really think kind of helps to motivate. So like some patterns are really difficult because you don't feel like you've accomplished an area, like there's nothing, it all sort of runs together as being the same sort of thing. um so I think these kind of patterns are a little bit easier, a little more helpful when it comes to um, that sort of a feel, you know. So if you're motivated by that kind of things like I am, yeah, then you'll like this one a lot. Plus, so like you might have to look at the pattern to see where that yellow ends, but at the same time, maybe you don't. Um, After a little while, it sort of starts to make sense as to where things are kind of going and what they will bounce off of and where you have to go with stuff. So this might be one of those patterns where you don't, once you have it kind of mastered or whatever, you don't have to have the pattern along with you. So kind of nice if you're bringing a bracelet along to the park or something to work on. Um, or is that just me? Is that just a thing that I do? I like to occasionally just get out of the house with my stuff and have a clipboard sitting in my lap and just work on things, you know, or sit at a picnic table, lean the clipboard against the table part, and the other part is against my lap, and just tie knots. On my lap tends to I can't do it as long because I have to like cross my legs to try to hold the board up, and I can only do that for a little while. Used to be able to do it a lot, you know, back when I was younger, but not as much anymore. Now it's more the picnic table thing. So let's see. Do I do the black differently this time around? I think I do. Do, 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 do. Yeah, see, I didn't bring the right side down. I just brought the the one on the left down one. Now this will do three, and then the next one will come. So yeah, this is I've already figured out like the most efficient way of doing it. And because you're staying on one side, the strings are less likely to be all grouped together in a bad sort of way. So it really does help to kind of speed things along. Um, just if nothing else, because those strings were just worked with and that there's a flow happening with it. This is so now this black comes all the way out to the side, and then the purple, when it bounces, it becomes the beginning of going the opposite direction. So the pink is where we kind of started outside of the yellow at the top, and then the pink becomes the diamond in the very, very center of it. And then the purple goes completely around that, which is sort of cool. Um, I kind of I didn't know what I was going to do with the colors, right? I had the four different neon colors that had like great amount of contrast. And um I was trying to figure out like which sequence to put it in. And what ended up happening was I looked at the pattern and the pattern had sort of a yellow and I'm like, okay, that's cool. This will be the yellow one. And then there was a sort of an orange and I kind of went with that. And there was sort of like um I was kind of left with like the pink and the purple, which they're like two different shades or whatever. So I kind of went with which one looked closest to those. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll just run with that. It'll make it easier for when I'm looking at the pattern and figuring things out. And yeah, that totally worked for me. Um, of course, I can take the whole um, template, whatever, the pattern, I can take it and open it up with GIMP, my imaging processing thing. I can select whichever color and then turn it to the color I intend to use, right? You can use the tool that's select by color and it'll highlight them all. Then you grab the paint tool and you say fill in entire selection and just fill it with whichever color you intend to use. And it will make doing your work so much easier. If you're like, it's it's one thing to sort of, when you're designing it, to just use some basic easy colors so that way you can have a better idea as you're making it. But when it comes to actually doing the project, yeah, being able to see with the colors that you're using can be a lot easier. Unless, and here's a big caveat, unless it's a fade. A fade can always mess you up because it's so hard to discern which one is the third darkest or the fourth darkest kind of thing. Like there's that can really really mess you up. So in those cases, most of my fades I keep to like a 6 color thing, and I use the rainbow so that way I can say red is number 1, whether that's dark or light. Orange is number 2, yellow is number 3, and that way it's easier to look and see, okay, that's number 3, and this is, and then go through my stuff on the work itself and be like, yes, okay, this is the third color. So yeah, that tip will save you a whole lot of hertz. um Honestly, like that's the kind of stuff like that. It can just get so difficult, so whatever. um So now we're going the other direction. Now things really kind of change as far as how the pattern goes. We're still doing the left-hand side first. Um, how the whole thing kind of flows or whatever. There is like it changes. I don't know how to describe that. Um, I guess kind of just watch and see, but it is it is much different. Um, And yeah, I'm really glad that we did flip the bottom half. Like if you watch the pattern making part, when I flipped it from the top down, the direction that everything would have been going in would have been kind of weird. So we also flipped it horizontally and ended up with this. So I was really kind of thankful that happened. Um, because if not, I think I'd have been really upset with the overall design of how this looks. So yeah, so now as this purple one comes down, it doesn't go all the way to the edge, right? So this now only goes as far as like where that yellow is and changes. And now the black will come in. So now it's just going to do a smaller diamond and then the orange will come out around it. So there's this weird, like before we took the long row and it went all the way down to the very last string and bounced in. Now that doesn't happen any longer. So we got used to doing it one way in the top half. It changes altogether for the bottom half. Is that bad? No, it's just different. It's just, a little bit more brain exercise. Um, and it makes it look awesome. I like doing this to a pattern personally. If you haven't figured it out, like this is really my thing. I like having an interesting center part. I like it to be symmetrical going outwards. Um, that's one of my favorite things to do to a pattern. Mind you, you saw how I worked out the pattern on the graph paper, right? You could use the graph paper to come up with, the nicest start to your bracelet and then just run it directly straight. Like there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. When I'm doing these patterns and when I'm trying to do like either it's the blindside creations or my take on something, I'm trying to add a little something more to the bracelet. Um, I don't necessarily do this all the time. It's part of the tutorial process showing you how you could add more to it. So,
I meant to do that.
you know, don't don't take it as, oh, Kevin expects that I have to, change up patterns or do whatever. It's not. It's just to show that there's other things that we can do with a pattern that can turn them into something completely uniquely different. Because this, the way this one is probably not going to be found on Bracelet Book, right? Because they're not putting a center to the bracelet. They're not giving you the whole bracelet. They're just showing you a way of doing something. Um, I'm showing it a different way, you know. And maybe somebody does put it in there and makes out the full length of the whole bracelet. I suspect in order to make it work, it's got to bounce back the other direction, because there's something in the whole thing where it has to go and reconnect or something. I think I it's been a long time since I tried to play with it. Um, I did try something. I think back in I want to say back in the well, probably the early 2000s. I tried to put a pattern in, and I was basing it off of a bracelet I was making, and I couldn't do it because the pattern didn't repeat. But it didn't need to repeat. It was a whole bracelet. Like yeah, I don't know. I I gave up after putting in several hours of trying to figure out how to use their stuff and it not working. And I was just like, forget it. I've got my own graph paper. I can do my own thing. I never expected to be this guy who does tutorials and teaching everybody how to do this stuff. Um, I kind of wish I had started sooner because, yeah, I mean, I could have a lot more content out there. We could have done a lot more things earlier on, but it never really occurred to me that could be my thing. And now look at me. I'm like making daily videos now. So go figure. And if you guys had any idea, like some of the things that like I'm cooking up in my brain to do for some of the future projects, like holy moly, I am, I have like tons of notes and things written down for stuff to do. And yeah, like some of it takes a lot of time to work out, and like how are we gonna show this part of it? How are we gonna do different things? So yeah, this is lots and lots of stuff going on, man. Lots. So this is the yellow. This is the one color that will end it. So that means we're obviously getting towards the end, which reminds me that we need to thank my Patreon supporters for making all of this stuff happen. Thank you guys very, very much. Um, I'm going to try to actually get more posting going on over there. I know I haven't done a whole lot, and I've kind of explained why, but my plan is to do more, and yeah, it'll be fun. Um, we still do uh, the Sunday hangouts on the first Sunday of the month, so those are always fun. So if you want to join in on that, um, join me over on Patreon. Then I will open up the channel over on Discord. So that's always fun. Yeah, you can see those few strings on the left-hand side. They're all done with. This yellow will come down to the corner, and then that purple will be done with. So yeah. And I think by this point in the whole thing, I'm pretty excited. I can see the end is near. Um, so it might seem like these knots are going a little bit faster. It's probably true. It probably is. I get a little more motivated knowing that, there isn't much left. Yeah, so there's what, like 4 strings done on the left. And then now we're going to have strings that are done on the right. There's 3. Here comes the 4th. So not bad. I was afraid I didn't have anything to say, and look at this. I ended up talking through the whole video. Go figure. That's awesome. We are getting to the very, very end. Thank you guys for hanging out this long. I really appreciate it. It definitely helps the watch hours. Be sure to hit like so that way YouTube will send us out to more people. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And yeah, you're going to be able to check this out. It's going to be, I pull it out of the thing here really soon. So yeah, check it out. How cool is that? All right, guys, as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.